So this explains why. So a week ago, I heard a small voice in my head telling me to purchase more candles and more light bulbs. Now it makes sense. Heads up, guys, they just banned incandescent light bulbs starting August 1st.
Clock is ticking this morning. Come Tuesday, it'll be illegal for stores to sell you an incandescent light bulb. That's the type of light bulb that radiates heat when you turn it on. Now everyone will have to buy LED or compact fluorescent light bulbs, which the Biden administration says are better for the environment, will save you money in the long run. Now some are calling the ban government overreach. A lot of people don't like being told what to do. Stephanie Haynes joins us live from Dallas. And so, Stephanie, it won't be illegal to actually own or have these light bulbs, right? But it'll be illegal to sell them.
Did you guys hear about this? So I was downtown today buying light bulbs, and I mentioned to the lady at the counter about the light bulb ban. She knew about it, but the other worker didn't. I felt bad for him. So he said, oh great, I can hardly afford to live now and I'm supposed to buy $9 light bulbs? Now I mentioned this at other stores and no one seemed to be even aware or they didn't even care. Oh well. So I thought we would talk about this and some other surprising bans that they introduced right here in the United States and abroad. I mean, like short grain rice from India. Apparently they're cutting their rice exports, so we may get affected. But hey, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's go ahead and talk about this incandescent light bulb ban first, all right? So here's what to know. The Biden administration, they implemented a ban on incandescent light bulbs starting August 1st in favor of energy efficient bulbs. Now this is following a years-long bipartisan effort to phase out the bulbs after earlier regulations and standards were blocked by former President Donald Trump. Now, the Department of Energy, they approved new rules for light bulbs, including a new minimum standard for light bulbs at 45 lumens or brightness per watt. This is an increase over the average 12 to 18 lumens per watt for incandescent bulbs. Now, you're not banned from owning incandescent bulbs. It's just that retailers will be prohibited from selling any bulbs, including incandescent bulbs that don't match this new standard. I wonder how they're going to police this thing. Plus, companies are banned from manufacturing them. And just to clarify, households using an existing bulb that does not meet the standard will not be required to stop using them. The Department of Energy changed up regulations during Trump's presidency in 2019 after Trump, who said energy efficient bulbs Americans were being forced to use, made him look orange. He advocated against them and other environmental regulations. $3 billion, guys. That is how much the Energy Department estimates that Americans will supposedly save in their total utility bills by using energy efficient bulbs for a full year. The Department of Energy says that the LED lights provide more light using 75% less energy and last 25 times longer than the incandescent light bulbs. Plus, LED lights, they're estimated to save families about $100 per year. Now, this average cost of an LED light bulb, it ranges anywhere from $5 to $7 each. Meanwhile, an incandescent bulb would normally range anywhere between $2 and $3 a bulb. But LED bulbs, they save money in the long run because they use less energy to run and they last a whole lot longer. Some say it's a long overdue phase out of inefficient, old-fashioned light bulbs, and it would benefit households with disproportionately higher energy burdens. But not everybody's convinced, and not everybody wants to be forced to do this. Some Republicans even called it another example of the Biden administration's tidal wave of regulatory burdens crashing down on American families. And so basically all part of Biden's regulatory assault on home appliances. I mean, washers and dryers are already less effective because of government regulations, and they're about to get worse. So what else are they about to regulate? Well, let's talk about that. So the federal government's warning started in January, and they've been pretty much progressively getting worse and more aggressive as they want to make sure that Americans don't go back in time. So no more going back to the good old days, right? The government announced a ban on the manufacturing and the selling of incandescent bulbs, saying it will help Americans save money and also help the environment. An effort to phase out incandescent light bulbs comes amid concerns that contribute to climate change. The Department of Energy estimates that about 5% of global carbon greenhouse gas emissions are attributed to lighting. Meanwhile, bulbs that are less energy efficient, like incandescent bulbs, they contribute more because they produce more heat. The new regulations are expected to cut carbon emissions by 22 million metric tons, an amount equivalent to emissions generated by 28 million homes in 1 year over the next 30 years. An estimated 30% of US households use incandescent or halogen incandescent light bulbs in 2020. But regulations on less efficient bulbs have been facing opposition over the last 2 decades. Some Republicans have argued that the rules violated personal freedoms, while others have argued using energy efficient bulbs was more cost efficient. Hey, with those extra savings, maybe we can invest a little bit more in our 401ks, IRAs, investment accounts, brokerage accounts, ETFs, index funds, who knows? But still, some people are saying that the decision to make the light switch, it should be their own, and it shouldn't be the government telling people how to spend their money. But what do you guys think? I guess something that we can definitely keep an eye on in our future updates. I definitely recommend joining our YouTube fam. Make it official. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button and turn on that notification bell. Make sure you don't miss out on any future updates and videos. And hey, I totally would not mind you guys lighting up the like button as well. Definitely makes my day. I'm just personally scared what else they're trying to go and regulate right now. I mean, they're like on this regulation frenzy, aren't they? So what if they outlaw generators that are not what they consider eco-friendly, and they basically ensure that you're going to freeze your butt off or even freeze to death when they shut off your power? I mean, what's next, right, guys? Now, another ban worth talking about, LAX becomes the second major US airport to ban sale of single-use plastic water bottles. And so this was after San Francisco International Airport announced such a ban in August 2019. Since then, SFO's ban has expanded to include sodas, teas, and juices in single-use plastic packaging. Not sure if they're going to extend the ban like this in LA. But yeah, guys, you will no longer be able to purchase water bottles at Los Angeles International Airport. That's because Los Angeles World Airports, the airport authority that oversees LAX and Van Nuys Airport V&Y, they're banning single-use plastic water bottles at their 2 airports to encourage sustainable travel. But get this, guys. Bottled water served on aircrafts is exempt from the ban. Why would you ban it in the airport, but it's okay to sell it on the airplane? Is this a ploy for the airlines to charge you more money and just have a monopoly on things? Basically, when people are thirsty in the airport or in the air, you can charge them $15 for a bottle of water? Makes you wonder. Now, all businesses with leases or concession agreements at the 2 LA airports, they must use containers made of recyclable aluminum or glass. All a part of LA's Green New Deal, their sweeping plan to make the woke city carbon neutral by 2050. So, zero carbon transportation, buildings and electricity, as well as eliminating waste and sourcing water locally. Now, I'm just hoping that the hydration stations that they install throughout LAX and V&Y will work, especially since LAX is one of the US's busiest airports. It's a hub for all big 3 US airlines and a major international gateway. V&Y has no regularly scheduled commercial airline service, but it is a very popular general aviation airport in Southern California. By the way, guys, if you own a home, make sure your home is protected. Get your free home warranty quote. There is a link in the description down below this video. Then, of course, there's the new limits on Indian exports that's got locals in America panic buying. So last week, India announced restrictions on rice exports to the rest of the world, leaving many people worried about the availability of the essential food staple from home. And you know how it goes in crisis situations, right, guys? Panic buying pretty much happened right after, with people rushing to the supermarkets to hoard and stockpile bags of rice. Some places even saw super long lines forming outside of the stores as people try to secure their supplies. Local Indian markets let their customers know that there's still plenty of rice available, at least for now. You see, the situation in Asia hasn't been ideal for rice production lately. An early El Nino brought drier, warmer weather to some regions, while brutal monsoons hit parts of India, basically destroying crops and driving up prices. So in response to the rising prices, the Indian government imposed export bans on certain types of non-basmati white rice to ensure enough supply and to curb inflationary pressures in their domestic market. But for the people who really rely on certain types of short grain rice for specific dishes or regional preferences, the news sparked confusion and it led to an initial panic buying frenzy. Basmati rice is still available, but some say it's just not the same. Plus, there's concerns about the potential impact of the export ban on food supplies worldwide. Economists and some governments are urging India to reconsider the decision, fearing it could exacerbate the situation. In the US, the immediate supply of imported Indian rice may not be a problem despite the panic buying. Still, a long-term ban could eventually make us run out. Now, what about this one? Senators propose banning stock trades for U.S. Congress and the president. What do you guys think? Members of the Congress, the president, vice president, and senior branch officials, not to mention their relatives, will be banned from trading stocks under some bipartisan legislation introduced recently. Now, it's rather interesting that this ban goes into play right after Nancy Pelosi decides to step down. I guess she and her husband have made enough money. Democratic Senator Kirsten Gillibrand and Republican Senator Josh Hawley formally introduced the Ban Stock Trading for Government Officials Act. So this new bill is a follow-up to the decades-old Stop Trading on Congressional Knowledge stock law. That was supposed to tackle insider trading by members of Congress and their employees, basically trying to stop them from making tons of money investing in the stock market and capitalizing on insider information. Now, unlike the previous law, this new proposed legislation leaves no room for exceptions, even for officials trading in blind trusts. So they got penalties of varying degrees that would be imposed on both members of Congress and executive branch officials who engage in stock trading. This would apply for the NASDAQ stocks, S&P 500, Dow Jones, you name it. The bill also calls for additional civil penalties in cases involving huge amounts of money. Plus, the new act requires Washington officials to file reports whether they receive grants, loans, contracts, or other payments from the federal government except for salary compensation or tax refunds. And those who fail to file transaction reports under the Stock Act could face increased penalties of $500 up from the current $200. Now, here's the thing, guys. These lawmakers, these congressmen and women, they're all millionaires, right? So in reality, a fine of $500 is not spit for them. So this is really not even a form of punishment. This is more along the lines of, hey, as politicians, we're looking out for the American people. Let's go ahead and create this legislation that punishes us for trading stocks. But yeah, $500. I wouldn't be surprised if some of these people are making $500 an hour. So really, this is not at all a legitimate punishment, if you ask me. Now, of course, there's no clear timeline on when this legislation might be considered in committee or whether it's going to be up for debate and votes in the full Senate this year. And they haven't included the U.S. Supreme Court justices in the stock trading ban. Interesting. But Senate Democrats, they're also working on advancing a separate ethics code for the U.S. Supreme Court, especially after those media reports revealing some justices' failure to disclose luxury trips and certain real estate transactions. We all know who I'm talking about here. And last but not least, the Senate voted 91-7 to prevent China, Russia, North Korea, and Iran from purchasing U.S. farmland, part of a bipartisan push to scrutinize adversaries' business dealings in the United States, after incidents like the Chinese spy balloon saga and recent land purchase by China near U.S. military bases. The proposed rule passed as an amendment to the annual defense budget bill, and it will require the president to review farmland transactions from each of those four countries that I just mentioned and block any deals that would give a foreign entity from any of the countries control of U.S. farmland and waive those that don't. By the way, guys, for the best way to invest in gold, check out the links in the description down below of this video. Now, this particular measure, it would also give the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States, commonly known as CFIUS, the power to evaluate land deals using data from the Department of Agriculture and also block those deals it see fit. The senators also voted 91-6 to approve an amendment that would monitor investment from U.S. companies in China, Russia, North Korea, and Iran in high-tech sectors such as AI, artificial intelligence, semiconductors, satellite communication, and quantum computing. Now, just to show you guys, Chinese investors own about 384,000 acres of forest and farmland right here in the United States. But that represents less than 1% of the 40 million acres owned by foreign entities as of December 2021. But there have been a few significant land purchases from China that have definitely sparked some fears among U.S. lawmakers and the country's national security. If we look in 2022, Chinese food manufacturing company Fufeng Group, they bought 300 acres of land in North Dakota, about 20 minutes away from Grand Forks Air Force Base, home to much of the country's drone technology arsenal. Sounds like a very strategic investment in U.S. soil by China, if you ask me. In 2020, Chinese billionaire Sun Yingwing, he attempted but was blocked by Texas authorities to build a windmill farm near Del Rio, Texas, near Longland Air Force Base, the location of a pilot training facility. Wonder why he wanted to get so close to that one. The project eventually got approval after a Spanish company bought the land and moved forward with it. Beyond farmland, the rise of social media app TikTok has generated fears that its Beijing-based parent company ByteDance could give US users data to the Chinese government. Are you guys worried about TikTok stealing your data and sending it over to China? Me personally, I'm not really worried about that. Bunch of fools dancing on there anyway. You can have that. TikTok's already been banned on federal devices. And let's not forget about that whole suspected Chinese spy balloon being spotted above Montana, the state that houses much of the country's nuclear arsenal. Y'all remember that, right? If you guys made it this far in the video, definitely consider dropping a like for the video and subscribe to the channel. And I'm looking forward to seeing you guys on the next one. Y'all be safe.